have an opportunity to introduce my co-chair. Cherie, are you ready to present? There you go. Your slides are up. The floor is yours.
All right. Thank you so much, David. So I'm going to jump right in and talk about some work we're doing with the RISE-2 survey team. So the overall goal of the RISE survey team is to understand the surface and samples from the moon, near-Earth asteroids, Phobos, and Deimos. And one of the main research themes for RISE-2 is to conduct and develop scientific field methods for human exploration. And we do this at a lunar analog site at Kilbourne Hole in New Mexico. And what we want to do is at that site, not only do we want to evaluate the eruptive history of the region, but we want to establish some exploration protocols and develop a concept of operations for a variety of our field portable instruments. And so I'm going to focus on a couple of those field portable instruments today. The two that I'll be kind of mainly talking about are our geochemical analyzers.
Hey, Cherie, so sorry to interrupt. I don't think your slides are advancing for everybody.
Oh, no, that's not great. All right.
I mean, it was stuck in just the regular slide view, not presentation mode. So I'm not sure if that was just me or everyone had that issue.
All right, well, let's try this again. Apologies for that.
Oh, no worries. I think just resharing it should fix it.
All right, are they
yeah,
advancing now?
And if what happened to me happened to everybody, maybe start one slide back.
You know what, I'm having a hard time seeing what I'm advancing, so I'm just going to keep this in PowerPoint mode, and apologies for that for everyone.
Cherie, at the moment, all we see is you. We don't see you.
Okay. All right, I'm going to keep this here, and so sorry for that, and I hope everyone is able to see this.
Yes, we see real-time data processing.
All right, well, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and probably jump through quickly here. So I'll be talking about two of our main geochemical analyzers. So we have a LIBS, which is a laser-induced breakdown spectrometer, and an XRF. And both of these instruments are able to give us field data. They can record metadata in terms of GPS, acquisition date and time, and a sample number. But what we see on the screen is something that's in terms of our element percent. And as geologists, sometimes it's not always super useful because we don't tend to think of things in terms of an element percent. And a lot of times we want to, think about things in terms of an oxide weight percent, or look at some of these data products in the context of other things that we've analyzed in the field. And so what we want to do is try and integrate some real-time data processing. And the way we want to do this is by transferring our data either via Bluetooth or a wireless hotspot in the field to a tablet or a laptop. And when we do this, we can then kind of conduct some of our processing and be able to look at these products in a more useful way. And the way we want to do this is by either creating different tables or different types of snapshot images to help us understand the types of rocks or samples that we're looking at, and also how they relate in context to other things that we've measured in our region. So we've split these into two different types of products. So we have our summary data products. This can be as simple as a table of our major oxides or trace elements, or we can choose different types of classification diagrams depending on what types or sites that we're investigating. And then we have different types of comparison data products. So after we've acquired one or more samples, now we have the opportunity to compare different types of rocks or different types of sediments to one another and place these in the context of a broader example or site And so these can help us in terms of tactical decision making. And so we want products that are quick and easy to understand if we want to use these tactically. But then we can have more complicated or advanced statistical analyses if we want to utilize these in terms of a science support team or later in strategic planning. And so I'll walk through a quick kind of example of how this might be used in the field. This is just a Google Earth screenshot of our field site at Kilbourne Hole. And so one way that we can think about doing this is at stop one, we tell our processing methods to kind of return one of our summary data products. Let's say as we've walked down this area and now we kind of have some vertical context, we can now generate some of those contextual products. So how do these samples compare with others in the field? And if we want to look at it in terms of a stratigraphic column, what is the geochemistry changing in terms of our vertical stratigraphy here? And then as we add more and more points to this, we can get a little more advanced in our statistical methods, maybe some PCA analyses or plotting several of our points on top of our classification diagrams. And that just helps us understand the broader context of the region. So I think I'm almost out of time here, so I'll wrap up quickly. We're planning a field excursion in the fall, and this is where we want to test whether these data products are actually useful for us in the field, and if not, how can they be more useful and how can we modify things in the future? We want to know, can we quickly transfer data? And if not, how do we improve that? Can these products be used by a broader science team? And what do we do to make them more useful to be integrated into overall discussions about the region? And then how can we integrate these into software? So we have some temporal-based software that Ben Theis is talking about later, some visualization software in the field that Zach will talk about right after me. And then, how do we make sure that these are archived in ways that the broader public can use them? And so all of these will be useful as we jump into a spring expedition where we're actually simulating some EVA operations and making sure that we can have useful science in the field and use these tactically and strategically. With that, I will wrap up.
Okay, thank you, Cherie. I don't see any questions in the chat, so let me ask one question. We still have a moment for one question. What you reported analyses of the salt, was that in one of the salt flows in the vicinity of Kilbourne Hole, or were those class within the tuff ring and Mar deposits, or was that the matrix, the ashy matrix of the Mar?
That's a great question. So I have yet to visit Kilbourne Hole. And so these were just examples of basically some example data points. So that's not representative exactly of the region, but as we go out there, it'll be populated with real data. These were just meant to just show what could be possible.
Okay, thank you.